about 4 or 5 years ago, one of my buddies who was LDS, served 4 missions in the church. He told me, he said, well, Marshall, I know that I have a testimony that the Book of Mormon is the Word of God. So that was my topic. He's no longer LDS, by the way. He goes to a Protestant church in Richland. And he's hardcore, served 4 missions in the Mormon church. So I think it's important for us to know what is that foundation? The foundation has to make sense to me, you know. I think God gave us a brain, so we just don't put it on hold. We have to think about it. He wants us to study to show ourselves approved, a workman who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So we do need to think about it. We need to rightly divide it. So just because it's got tires and it says church on it and it says Jesus Christ doesn't mean we go to sleep now. We have to look into it and see in depth, is there something in there they're not talking about? Are they hiding something? And believe you and me, the Mormon missionaries have topics they do not want you to bring up. They do not want you to talk about them. Now, again, my position is, if you are a member of the true church, you should not be afraid to own that. If you are a member of the church that owns the truth, do not be ashamed of the truth, but proclaim the truth to everyone. You know, when you do that, you're going to get persecuted. I know that for sure. So from personal experience, people don't like me anymore that used to like me. I have a lot of friends who aren't. They've chosen not to be my friend anymore because I stand up and say, this is what's right and wrong. Now, I'm not always right, but I'm going to be bold. So if I'm wrong and I put my faith up there, I hope you knock the crust off of it, you know. Help me out. That's what we're supposed to do in fellowship. So, are we missing the spare tires here, Jerry? Or is it just all the tires we're missing? You said here on the apostasy, they were ordained with the keys of the priesthood. And what priesthood do we have here? And priesthood is a whole other debate. If I want to discuss the priesthood, we could go into the Aaronic priesthood, and we look line upon line, precept upon precept, in the Pearl of Great Price, and we find that we don't know who got the priesthood first. I mean, it should be pretty obvious. Was it Joseph? Was it Oliver? We find that Oliver got the priesthood first, but Joseph was the first elder. But Oliver baptized Joseph first. Afterwards, Joseph baptized Oliver. A big problem with that. If you haven't been baptized yet, you're not a baptized person. So it's an improper baptism for me to baptize you if I'm not a believer and I haven't been baptized. It would be improper. So the whole foundation of the priesthood does not add up. Again, my math just doesn't let me believe this because it just doesn't make sense. So that would be my point, Jerry, is to, you did a great job, but the bottom line is, I don't want you messing with my perfection. You said, how many witnesses did Moses have? Moses had quite a few, but they're at the bottom. It's the same number of witnesses, probably, maybe a little less, that Noah had. Oh, you want to talk numbers? Let's talk Noah, right? Only 8? Noah, there's no way you could be right. I mean, look at all these numbers. The Mormon church tells me, look at it, we're so big, we couldn't be wrong. We have so many smart people in our church, there's not a possibility that our church could be wrong. If you want to talk numbers, let's talk Noah. Noah, only 8 guys? And we haven't had rain yet. And you're building this on high ground. Do you realize the ocean's that way a whole long ways, and we don't have anything big enough to carry that boat out there? You're wasting your time. See, I mean, how ridiculous. Moses must have been just totally, you know, giving all kinds of heck. Come on, Moses. We're just going to go out and see the Moses thing, you know. How about Noah and Moses, you know? I'm sorry, Noah. I get them mixed up, don't I? Only had a few hours sleep last night. So forgive me. I'm talking Noah still. But Moses. I mean, hey, Moses, you know, you brought us out here in the desert, and now you're going to get us killed. They didn't have much faith, did they? And so, I mean, what did they do? Walk across on dry ground. And all the Israelites got drowned. Wow, that's awesome. I think they have quite a few witnesses. You know, they came down. I was the other guys, right? Okay. But Moses comes down off the hill, and what's he got? Commandments of God. And his face is bright. You think there's any witnesses there? I mean, I remember what the apostles said, and recorded in the Bible. Here, one second. Can't tell you about it.
Time's up. like this. Okay, Jerry is going to make his concluding statement.
Okay,
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay, very good, Marshall. At least you were narrow this time. and you stuck to the doors that I accidentally opened for you. So which is good. This has been great. I've enjoyed it. What we have here still is the idea of which is church holds more true to the original church, and it's a matter of conviction, a matter of personal testimony, what's happened to you in your life. All of you have been lucky or unlucky enough to be born in the Christian church. What if I came and told you your church is a bunch of bunk? It wouldn't sit easy. It would be hard to say. You'd be telling me, well, what about your church? Your church, you know, what makes you right? The discussion is always there, but a lot of times as a Christian, we tend to look at it through different eyes when we just talk to another church. So what we've got to do is put their eyes on for a while and see that the LDS Church truly believes in what they believe. I know a lot of Christians that don't particularly believe in what they believe. I've heard of pastors being saved after they become pastors. What's up with that? Okay? These people really believe, and they're really strong. And I am on my little Baptist church out there like a dog for their participation and their attitude and their back pew, laid back, sit pew potato kind of attitude sometimes. And I never found that as a Mormon. So that's another thing that I felt that the Israelites had. They had some attitude, but they got up and got going. And so there's a lot of things that you rely on from the inside as a Mormon church that gives you conviction that it's true. And so take a look at yourselves as a church and see how close you are to the original church, how much attitude you have. Are you a pew potato? Are you a barn burner, you know? I know a lot more barn burning Mormons than I do barn burning Christians. That's sad. We're told as a Mormon to everybody be a missionary. And I come to church and you want to go knocking on doors and it's like throwing snakes on the table. You know, I ain't going to do that. That's a lot of trouble. Mormons have a great attitude for what they believe. They got to be commended for that they stand up for what they believe, that they are willing to go out and proselyte and spread that word. So when you're talking to them, give them the respect due. And yeah, you're going to believe differently. You're going to have a different God. You're going to have a different plan of salvation. But you need to present it to them respectfully, with love. And so, yeah, it's contention. We're supposed to contend for the faith. If any two opposing things, whether they're two pretty cars coming together, is contention. Okay, they're still going to smack together. So but you can do it respectfully. Okay. And just, I ask you, please to do that when you're thinking of your Mormon friends. And please use the word God. Because as much as the eighth article of faith says they believe and it's translated correctly, so do you. I know a lot of people who go straight to Strong's or go to another concordance. I don't think that said that. And sure enough, you know, there's a word or two translated wrong in good old King James.